Hey, welcome back to the Group Project Podcast. This is episode number 108. And I've got Kevin Sims on the show. Kevin is the superintendent at Minco Public School District in Minco. I hope I'm saying that right. Oklahoma, just outside Oklahoma City. Kevin, hey, welcome to the show, man.
Well, Jared, thanks for having me. It's a great honor and privilege to be with you today.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, you're my second guest from Oklahoma. Episode 81, I had high school principal of the year, Melissa Barlow, she's the 2021 Oklahoma high school principal of the year. So second time dipping in. Is it the Sooner State? Is that correct?
Well, I call it the Sooner State. Some might call it the OSU Cowboy State, but I'm an OU Sooner State, definitely the Sooner State. So good choice of words there, Jared.
So yeah, just outside Oklahoma City. How close are you to Oklahoma City there?
We're about 30 miles away. It's about, we're just I-40, a major interstate. We're 10 minutes south of I-40. And so we're about 25 minutes out of Oklahoma City, really. Yeah.
So Oklahoma City, that's where Oklahoma State's at, correct?
No, Oklahoma State University is in Stillwater.
Oh, Stillwater. That's right.
University of Oklahoma is in Norman. And we're about 30 miles from Norman, actually.
Oh, wow.
South of Oklahoma City. But yeah, we're really in a good location, good spot.
Okay, I normally don't jump into sports right away, but it seems like you're a sports guy. Lincoln Riley, do you like him or are you kind of upset with them right now?
Coach Brent Venables is our head football coach at the University of Oklahoma, and I'm very proud of that man. And I wish Coach Riley the best, but it did leave a sour taste in my mouth. I will not lie. How the whole thing was handled. I mean, he can leave, but handled it horribly.
I just remember that press conference. I'm not going to LSU. I mean, I'm not even an Oklahoma fan really, but I just remember, oh, okay, he's not going to LSU apparently. Little did I know he was going to USC the next day.
Yeah, that was definitely that was a moment. I was driving and a friend texted me and had this emoji on there, and he's like, I can't believe this or something like that. I thought, what are you talking about? And so when I stopped, I just got on Twitter real quick to see what was going on. I wasn't sure. And I was like, holy schmolies.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Well, hey, if you're not a sports fan, or if you don't know what we're talking about, just type in Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, USC. You'll kind of get the gist of what we're talking about. It was kind of out of the blue there. So, hey, Kevin, you've been, like I said, the superintendent at Minco Public School District for 13 years. Yeah. Since 2009. That is quite we were talking before the show. That is pretty remarkable that you've been at the same district for 13 years. Maybe, tell us, how did you get to that role? And maybe just tell us how you've managed to such great longevity in one district.
Sure. Well, I've been in education a total of 28 years now, which is hard to believe. I taught for 3 years in a small community in southwestern Oklahoma, and moved to Minco in 1997 as a teacher and guidance counselor. I served 8 years in that role, and worked on I worked on administrative certification, if you will, during that time, and became a high school principal in a neighboring district for 3 years. And then I was a superintendent there for a year. And this came open in 2009 here at Minco. And I wasn't going to apply for it. I thought there's no way I'll get that because I've just left there and a few years ago, but I felt like it was the right thing to do and applied and wound up landing the position. And it has been 13 years. It's hard to believe because it's been a fast 13 years. But I have a connection here, and I have a real pride in what we do. I have a very solid respect and love of our students, if you will. And we do a lot of social media as far as showing our students off when they accomplish something, whether it be academically or in the arts or in athletics. And that is something I think that has really helped establish the relationship between Kevin Sims, the superintendent, and the community. They see and respect that appreciation I have for our student body in our school district, and the love and passion I have to make this the best school possible. And, it's been 13 years, but I can tell you that fire is still still burning and burning solidly. And as long as I'm here, we're going to continue to be the best we can be. And I think when you do that, and I think the most important part of being a leader is not focusing on yourself as the leader, but focusing on who you're helping, who you're working with, and keep that the focus. and everything else seems to play out okay. If you ever shift that focus to yourself and to your own needs and your own, how you're benefited personally, that's going to limit your longevity in a lot of places, I think.
So, okay, 13 years there. I always like asking, okay, what's your one or two biggest takeaways, or the biggest lessons you've learned over the last 13 years? What would you say those would be?
I think for me, as I said, I have a great passion for what we do, and I want the best. And at the same time, I have to be careful, if you will, and to let others do their jobs right without hovering and without, trust. I think trust is, that's the word I'm looking for. Trust is very, very key. And I think we've established that here to allow those people to do what they need to do to be successful within the system.
Yeah.
I attribute that's something that I've had to learn. I've been pretty good at it, but I've had to get better at it, if that makes sense, over the years. And you as a leader better make sure you put the proper people in the right places and trust them, let them do their jobs. And I think that's helped me have some success here,
Okay. Is there any story early in your career? And I know I'm kind of throwing you on the spot a little bit, but early in your career where you look back on that and say, man, I just didn't trust that person, or I didn't trust that department, or some mistake that you can kind of pinpoint relating to that learning moment that you had?
Well, I think probably in the hiring process, where I had a principal that felt a little like slighted, if you will, because I didn't take their input so seriously. And that taught me a valuable lesson, that even though if I'm right in the deal, it doesn't matter. I need to they need to know that they count. Their opinion matters, and what they believe I have to take seriously. And I do. But I think, I went through a situation several years ago that taught me, okay, I need to back off a little bit and trust these guys to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
If that helps or makes sense.
Absolutely. That makes total sense. I feel like I've gone through the same progression where I used to love to have my hands in every single hire and kind of micromanage some of those hires. And now I realize, they can handle those on their own for the most part. And, sometimes they've made the right decision. I've wanted one person and they wanted the other, and I let them choose, and they made the right call, So I completely agree with that. It's funny. I kind of hear some of the common themes as in terms of like trusting staff. I hear that a lot, that early in people's careers, they don't have that trust, and they got to realize, okay, I got to trust the people I've hired. So any other thoughts on that comment or that thought?
I think you hit it right on the head. And trust is very, very important. And it's something that is learned. It's not just automatic. And also, Jared, there are times I do have to make the decision too. Understand? Sure. There are times that, I've been through situations where, I had an associate, if you will, that was a little frustrated. I said, look, I'm doing what I'm doing to protect you and everybody else. I'm the superintendent, and I'm putting this on my shoulders this time. It's no offense to you. I like you, and I like what you do, and I like what you stand for and what you're saying here, but let me handle this because I need to handle this for you. And you know what? They pretty well understand that. And I think that leads to maybe another topic. It's really important to have that open flow of communication. Very, very important. If there is a problem with communication, a communication breakdown, then it can really cause a lot of hiccups and headaches for you.
Sure. Hey, Kevin, what does a normal day look like for you? And maybe identify any of your key priorities throughout the day.
Well, as superintendent, or just overall in general?
Oh, I would say just superintendent.
Well, obviously, I get here pretty early. I like to get here before most people, and I even start the coffee sometimes. But I think what I do, I break up my time between the three schools that we have in our district through the week. And I think it's very important for me to be visible. So at breakfast time, I will either be in the elementary cafeteria where they're bringing kids in to sit, or I'll be in the middle school or high school. And I spend a lot of that time, that first 25 minutes, if you will, conversing with kids, high fives, fist bumps, asking how, and they like to joke with me and kid with me. And we have a really good rapport. And I really enjoy that. And it helps me to get to know the students, and it eliminates that wall of being the superintendent
Sure.
to them. And that helps them trust me. So I definitely like to have that interaction. Obviously, part of the day is spent, seemed like this year, a lot of reporting. I don't know what it's like for you, but the federal side of things has made this a little bit of a challenge this year, a lot of reporting. And I spend a lot of time on the computer, it seems like, more than I like to, working with federal programs, and we all, through accreditation visits and things like that. It's been a pretty hectic year, and we finally got through most of that a couple of weeks ago, and I'm really grateful. We were having to make some new hires, and so I'm focusing on that at this point. But it seems like the paperwork here in Oklahoma, a few years ago, we had a task force called Red Tape Reduction. I think that was completely false, because there's more red tape and more paperwork now than ever before. And from that end of it, when I started being a superintendent 14 years ago, it was a lot easier on that end of it than it is now. It's the reporting and we obviously have to have accountability, but that side of the spectrum has really increased tremendously.
You got me. I completely agree about being frustrated moving into the superintendent role, not nearly as long as ago as you, but 4 years ago. And I'm like, there's so much we've got to do. This red tape reduction idea, I love what you're saying, but it sounds like maybe it didn't do what it was intended to do. But you're right. It's just like, geez, there's so many, just it's a bureaucrat. There's a lot of bureaucracy that goes on in schools.
We a lot of money here. Let's be honest, with COVID relief and CARES Act money, a ton of more. We've spent more money this year than I've ever spent in my life on things, and it as it's a little bit of a challenge, obviously, to actually it's been a little bit of a challenge to spend some of the money, because you have certain guidelines to follow.
Yes, but
with that has been a definite increased load of paperwork for me. It's been good to have that money to use for programs, but it's and a lot of communications between superintendents and the State Department. So it's
absolutely
it's been pretty busy this year.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, what would you say the Minco schools are known for, or what's been your focus the last few years?
Well, what I think what I prided in is that we're very well rounded. We're a smaller district, okay, but at the same time, we have very good athletic program, very good football, basketball program. Softball has made the state tournament several years, and we haven't missed the state playoffs in football in 12 years. We broke the record for Minco by 2 or 3 years now. So athletics are very important to the community, as you know, but that's something we hang our hat on. Academically, we've been a very solid school in the state and in the county, and we're very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. I tout every year at graduation time, just in my 13 years here, we have people out there that are working, as preachers, teachers, doctors, lawyers, electricians, welders. We have really helped educate a lot of great people, great citizens, and I appreciate that. But taking us back, we're a well-rounded school. We have athletics, obviously. We have a solid ag program for the students that are interested in ag and FCCLA and that sort of thing. We have the fine arts. We have really good vocal music programs, a great band. The band sounds wonderful. It's small in number, but mighty in sound. But those things, and also we have a family feel here, if that makes sense, Jared.
Yeah.
And we get so much interest outside our community from other school districts that are larger, that are really large, actually, for transfers and things like that. We get a lot of interest from some of these districts, from student or from families, because of that feel. And word travels on that we have those programs, and that success, they see the success on social media, and they want to be part of that. And I think that sense of family and that sense of incorporating the successes of the fine arts and the athletics, that all plays into who we are here at Minco. And I really hang my hat on that we're well-rounded. And I mean, we've had kids that are all-star football by class that also were, achieved solid scores in a choir contest, for the state. So we're pretty proud of those things.
Sure. I'm actually on your Facebook page right now. It's been fun to kind of scroll. I'm seeing some things you don't see up here in Iowa. I think the first picture is, well, you see it a little bit, but I've got, a lot of livestock. It looks like some FFA 4-H stuff that you see that up here a little bit too. But I mean, yeah, you do a great job with the social media. Is there anything else you want to speak to on that? Is there any other strategies or?
Well, I just, I work with the teachers on that, and it's helpful. I don't go to everything. I go to a lot of stuff, but I can't make it to everything. But I'm like, hey, just send me something, and we put a little blurb out there, because I think that's important. And like it. And listen, I'm not a huge social media fan by any means. We've had our headaches with social media, and I have as a parent, trust me, of daughters. I mean, Snapchat and those things drive you crazy, but it is very important to promote that message, and social media has become a very, very powerful tool. And if districts use it right, man, it's a really good for promotion, I think. And that's really what we use it for. And, it's anytime we have something good happen, a teacher will send me something, or a sponsor or coach will send me something, and man, we get it out there and promote that. So it's a pretty good deal.
So we talked a little bit about the social media, some of your daily practices. What is maybe one other professional practice that you've adopted, you've made a part of your daily routine, perhaps, that you would highly recommend to others?
Well, that's a good question. I think taking the time to listen, and not speak, if that makes sense. If someone has something to say, just listen to them. Listen to even people that have complaints or issues with a coach, or I just don't need to say a word. Just sit there and listen to it. And really it helps. It's almost therapeutic for those folks, And so I think daily I listen to people, just to be honest with you. And I would highly recommend that. And as long as a person's heard, I think they feel justified, by the district and by me. So listening.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. Hey, I mentioned before the show that we got connected through actually one of the sponsors of the show, which is the Healthy Teacher. So again, go check out thehealthyteacher.com. I've talked about them the last couple episodes because they're one of the only fitness programs out there that really focuses on the needs of educators and teachers. So before we get to the Healthy Teacher, maybe you kind of told me a cool story before we started. Maybe just share your fitness journey with us.
Sure. I'll kind of start a little bit earlier than what even I went through a bout of COVID, got very, very sick. And I actually had COVID in November of 2020. And at our school, we wore masks. I mean, masks, we're like every other school. And I'd go to a football game, I wore a mask. And I was actually, I don't know if I was the first, but I was one of the first school officials to actually get COVID. And I wore a mask. And I followed the procedures closely. Anyway, I spent, I got back to work right before Thanksgiving break and worked a few days, went through Thanksgiving. The week after Thanksgiving, I came back to work. And towards the end of that week, there was something wrong. And I knew something was wrong, but I thought, I'll be all right. I'm just kind of blowing it off.
Yeah.
And that following Monday, I was walking down a hallway and I thought I'm going down. I mean, I had to grab hold of the wall and I thought I'm going to pass out here. And I lost quite a bit of weight, and which that wasn't a bad thing necessarily. But I just wasn't feeling it right. And I called my wife and I said, I need to go to the doctor. And so I called some hospitals and they're like, well, you're showing symptoms. We're not going to see you in person. That's all of it. I'm like, I said, no, I think I need to be seen in person. Something's not right. I found a little clinic that had an x-ray machine in Tuttle, just town east of here. And the nurse practitioner in there she worked several years for a pulmonologist. And so she said, let's do an x-ray. I mean, I wasn't, anyway, I went up, tested positive for the flu, and she came back in and she said, yeah, we've got a problem here. And she said that COVID just beat your lung to pieces on my right lung, and pneumonia had set in. And of course, we were getting ready for our school audit, and you know what that's like, Jared, having your financial auditors come in. They were in a couple of days, and I'm like, nah. I said, see, well, I need to work 2 more days, and then I'll stay home for a while. And she said, she took my phone. She said, call your wife. And so I called my wife, and she's like, okay. And she talked to both of us. If he doesn't go home right now and spend the next 2 weeks at home, and then which would lead us into the Christmas break time, she said he'll be in the hospital in 2 days. And boy, my ears perked up because I had friends, that did not come out of the hospital. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to the hospital, so I'll go home. Yeah. And so I went through that and had some issues after COVID. But I felt pretty run down, and I was a little bit weak, if you will, a little weaker on what I wanted to be. So late February, I thought after that, I need to start exercising again. And so about the first week of March, I started lifting weights and I don't jog, but I do a lot of walking. Yeah. And started lifting. And I told you I was almost embarrassed at how little I could lift, on the bench press and things like that. I really was. I was like, my gosh. But I will say I've stayed at it for over a year now. I've been working out and haven't stopped. I've been really faithful to work out with weights 3 times a week and staying great. Very active outside of that, as well, as far as walking and just doing stuff outside and doing things. But physical fitness has become very important to me. It helps me mentally, and it also keeps me in decent shape. My diet could be improved a little bit, Jared. I'm not going to lie to you there. I struggle with that sometimes, but the physical fitness aspect is very, very important, and the healthy teacher obviously plays a role in that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about how you've used the healthy teacher.
Yeah, just quick story. I don't really use LinkedIn, but I get all these notifications that people want to be in my network. So I went on to accept someone into the network, and I see this ad by the healthy teacher, and this and I thought, and so I started researching it. And so I just reached out in a message to Lauren with the healthy teacher, and we started communicating back and forth. And part of the package I wanted to do for teachers and support staff was have a component with our Return to Learn program of mental health and physical wellness for our teachers. And so we brought in a speaker for the mental health aspect and did some things there. And also we have a counselor now on staff that helps with that. But we brought in the healthy teacher through the communication with them, and it all lined up perfectly. And just happened to see an ad, on LinkedIn, which is very rare for me to do that, I promise. And that's how we connected. And we have about 20 some teachers out of 38 that are involved with that program, and myself included. I'm on the blue team, and I don't keep up with the team scores, but the emails, the text messages, and those things really inspire me and help me to keep my focus. Hey, you keep after it, don't quit. You stay, get your tail up at 5 o'clock on those mornings and go lift and stay active. And I don't know that I'm following Lauren and Reagan's advice totally on eating yet, but I'm trying, but they're a good group in this organization. Man, I recommend to school districts. It is cheap. I've spent $4,500 on a lot of things for schools over the years.
Yeah,
that was a cheap investment that really makes a positive impact upon our teachers and their families. I'm glad we spent that.
Do you feel like you're just kind of lifting and the walk? Why I'm a huge fan of walking too. I didn't used to be, but I just have found so many benefits from it. Do you feel like that's carried over to effectiveness at work for you?
Yes, absolutely. Energy level, and I think even with that, I mean, sometimes, Jared, particular days bring particular challenges, and you go home or slick out. But being a little bit more fit, if you will, trust me, I'm no Jared Smith or Lauren. I promise you. But it's very important to take care of your bodies, and one of the things I have done with my diet is pretty well, and not totally, but for the most part, I've eliminated sugar, and I've seen a lot of benefits from that. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I'm going to have a piece of cake or a piece of pie or a bowl of ice cream. It's going to happen, but I don't devour it like I used to, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that made such a tremendous difference in how I felt in my joints. I mean, inflammation, digestive issues. I'm serious. I mean, it really, reducing the amount of sugar has helped me tremendously.
I would agree with that completely. That's been one of the things I've been focusing on too, is just eliminating sugar. There's actually, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this on the show before, but it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. There's a movie about sugar, about what it does to your diet. And I think the experiment the guy did was he ate the same number of calories, but one diet, one like couple months was with sugar and one was without, and how much of a difference it makes for you. You just your body shape, your energy level, all that stuff. So it's called the sugar film. So anybody who's out there, if you're, and I kind of watch these weird movies that you learn stuff, it's not, but the sugar film, it's a decent movie that talks about what sugar can do to your diet, your body, your energy level, especially. So I appreciate you kind of bringing that up. So when you lift, what are you doing now for lifting? I'm always curious to hear about routines.
My routine is very simple.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't have tons of time. I do 4 exercises that's all I do, but I do 4 sets of 3.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
I do a bench press, and I do pull down lats, and I do a few exercises with dumbbells, just laying on my back and doing different lifts for my chest.
Yeah.
And then I do on my legs, I do lunges.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Raises, front and back. And then I injured my back in an accident some years ago, and had that back surgery. But I don't squat with any weight on my back at all. But I take a 60-pound dumbbell and I do squat with it, and 3 sets of 10 on that. Back to the bench press. When I first started, and in my arms, I do a couple of different curls and a couple of different tricep exercises, and that's it. But it's made such a tremendous difference just doing those exercises a week that, and it doesn't take but 30 minutes to do those, and it just that 30 minutes of time 3 days a week has made such a tremendous difference. And
yes,
on my bench press, I got to tout a little bit.
Do it, man.
When I started a year ago, 135 pounds, 245-pound weights. It was all I could do on that 3rd set to get. I couldn't even get 10, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And now my 3rd set, I'm doing about 3 to 4 times 205, 210 pounds, and
that's
so
good.
it's that stuff's exciting. When you're doing that, I mean, you like seeing those results, and anything you do, you like results. But
for sure,
that's been pretty good. And the lunges. When I started doing lunges, I tried dumbbells. I couldn't do them. I couldn't do them with dumbbells. I'm embarrassed to say that. And now I use 40-pound dumbbells on each hand to do my lunges. So
wow, you're right though. Seeing those results, I mean, that seeing going up in weight it's just I'm such a huge believer in working out. That's why I love connecting with Lauren and Reagan or any fitness program and talking to people to hear what they're doing. I love those exercises that you listed. Those are great whole body exercises.
And what I would say, Jared, too, is, you and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". At one time I was like 290 something, and I've lost off of that. But, and I wasn't like real fat. I mean, I'm just big. Okay. People have different body types. And I think sometimes I get, in my life, I've gotten real caught up because I worked out a bunch through my life, and then I wouldn't work out, and then I work out. Quit and do, quit and stop and whatever. But it's important now. I've had to move past that to where I feel good, and I've received the benefits of that. I remember years ago, I'll never forget this. I saw Cindy Crawford in an interview, and she said, people look at me all the time, and she said, I feel like a freak. I'm like, what? But who would have ever thought,
Yeah.
that would be the case?
Yeah. Cindy Crawford.
I know. And I'm like, really? But he ain't no freak, by the way. But I think all of us, regardless of where we're at, we might struggle with things sometimes,
Absolutely.
when it comes to our physical appearance. And that's, I think, just do the best you can and exercise and feel good and eat properly, and you're going to be okay.
Absolutely. Hey, Kevin, we talked a little bit of leadership. We talked a little bit of fitness. Is there anything on those two ends that before we get to our kind of our quick hitter questions that you wanted to cover that we didn't have a chance to?
No, I think you've done a great job, Jared. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Well, good. Well, hey, if you're just joining us late, this is Kevin Sims, superintendent at the Minco Public School District. And you say it so much, you have that like Southern Oklahoma twang to it. I'm not saying it right.
It's kind of like MEANCO, Minco. It's MINCO. Minco.
Minco. I've been saying it right. My apologies to all the Minco.
No. Minco is we're the northernmost town in the Chickasaw Nation, Indian Nation. And Minco is derived from the Cherokee language. It means chief. And so actually it's spelled MINKO if you looked at there, but that's where the word comes from, and has quite a history, for like every other town, I guess. There was a college here at one time, and
wow,
many, many years ago. And so pretty impressive little town.
So do you have a Native American population that goes to the Minco schools then?
Pretty small here.
Yeah.
Now, if you go about an hour and a half south, there's a heavy Indian population. And then to a town just west here is Anadarko, and they're called the Indian capital of the world. They have Indian City there, and
wow.
But there are a lot of Native Americans, not so much in Minco, but around. Yes,
sure. The reason I ask, the school district I'm at right now, South Tama County, we've actually got the highest percentage of Native American students in the state of Iowa.
Wow.
So yeah. So hey, I kind of, it's just a really cool culture we have here in our district. Yeah. So hey, we're going to hit some quick hitters here. Okay. So for in your area and the Oklahoma, to hype up the Oklahoma City area, if you want, or, why should we come down and visit your neck of the woods, and where would you take us? If we're planning a weekend down in the Oklahoma City area, take us wherever you want. Where do we got to go?
Well, 25 years ago, I said, nah, going to Dallas, but in the last 25 years, it's incredible the transformation of Oklahoma City. And Jared, have you been to Oklahoma City?
I have not, no.
I remember when I was in college in the early 90s, there was a little minor league hockey team that played at the State Fair Arena called the Blazers. And I remember going to a place, it was called Bricktown. And Bricktown was just kind of a place of buildings that were built in the 1920s, and where it was a thriving part of Oklahoma City. And some businesses had gone in there. There was a Bricktown brewery, and then there was a place called Spaghetti Warehouse. And a lot of times every so often we would go to a game and eat at Spaghetti Warehouse because it was a cool thing to do. It was in Bricktown. There was nothing there, but there were some visionaries in Oklahoma City, led by Mayor Ron Norick at the time and others that has just taken off, and went to Mick Cornett. And so we went from just a podunk city, if you will, to a beautiful, beautiful city, a major skyscraper, the Devon Tower. We have an NBA team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, just a beautiful facility. There's a AAA baseball club right there that's associated with the LA Dodgers, the Oklahoma City Dodgers. And it's really cool. There's a beautiful park called Scissortail Park. I mean, when I say that, I mean that seriously, beautiful. And then there's the Myriad Gardens downtown of it's about a 20-acre garden, if you will, outside garden that I would take you to a lot of those things, let you see those and experience those. A lot of good food here. If you like to eat, hey, there's a lot of great places in the Oklahoma City area. But I think obviously there's some cool things to see. I mean, heck, we have a brand new convention. In fact, I'm going tomorrow with a group of students. It's an overnight trip, and so I'm going to go be a sponsor. You know, we have a brand new convention center next to Scissortail Park, and just fabulous center that a lot of conventions are using now. We're going to be staying. The kids are excited. They're staying in the Omni Hotel, you know, and they're really excited about those opportunities, and it's pretty cool, the growth we've seen. So there are a lot of great things to do. Now listen, me personally, I like to fish, and I have some buddies, and if we just go out, in rural Oklahoma, we have some friends that let us use ponds, and I enjoy fishing. That's kind of my getaway. I like going to Oklahoma City too. Don't get me wrong; it's pretty cool, and we go up there quite a lot. But there are a lot of, if you're into hunting and fishing and those types of things, man, some great opportunities here. I've got a hunt I'm going to go on in April with some family. We're going to go do some turkey hunting, and like I said, those types of things, if you like them, they're here to do. Come on and see us.
So I'm not a fisherman, but like, what's the big fish to catch down there?
For me and my buddies, we like to catch bass and crappie and things of that sort. So
okay, awesome. Okay, and I got to ask you one restaurant you've got to check out in the Oklahoma City area.
Oh man, that's depending on what you like, I guess, but there's some great, if you like steak, it's Cattleman's. Cattleman's is a historic place. Presidents have eaten there. It's a cool place. It's been in Stockyard City for years. I mean, it's great steaks, great quality of food. Obviously a lot of Mexican food restaurants that are great, that I would say Ted's is a great place to eat. There's some cool pizza places. There's a new section I need to explore. It's a little bit more, probably more my kids' age, I guess, if you will, but it's called Midtown, and they have really Midtown, similar to Bricktown, it's a very artsy district, if you will. And they have a lot of cool restaurants, pizza shops, ice cream shops, things like that have resurrected, that are thriving and doing pretty well. I got to hit some of that too, but I would say Cattleman's definitely would be a stop that you would want to make. And if you like Mexican, I'd go to Ted's.
Okay, there you go, guys. You got your whole weekend planned there. And as you've been talking, I've been looking at menus. I've been looking at maps. Dang it, man. Looks like, and it's only an 8-hour drive from Des Moines, so it's not too bad. It's pretty realistic. Okay, what is one book that has greatly influenced your life?
Oh man, Good to Great's pretty good. That was a good book, of course. But I read a book, and it's called 3D Coaching, and I don't know if you've seen. I don't know, Jared, if you're familiar with that or not. It talks about the role of leaders, and it's geared for coaches, but not just coaches. It's geared for leadership, and it was written by a former football coach that was on the staff with Bobby Bowden at Florida State. But it is not a sports book, if that makes sense. Now, there's some sports stories in there, of course, but it shared stories of him helping people, and it took him a while to learn this. He worked on their physical and mental aspect, but not their spiritual so much. And so that third dimension is the spiritual aspect. And I'm not talking about just Christianity here. You understand that. You can go that aspect if you wanted to, but there's also aspects of 3D training that does not reflect that, okay, to be fair. But what it is you help the spirits of an individual, and you build that person up in all three phases of their life: their soul, their body, their mind. And that really has had a lot of influence on me, because I think sometimes we forget as school people, hey, we're not just dealing with brains and bodies, we're dealing with souls and spirits, and we can break a person or build a person pretty quickly with how we talk to them or how we handle them, and that's key. That is a real key. That really transformed me. In fact, we've had some 3D trainings, and I think they've changed the name of it, Jared, to be honest with you. I don't know what they've changed the name of it to, but we're really going to promote a year-long process here of focusing on those components upcoming this next year. And we're going to train our coaches and well, anyone that really wants to be involved, especially coaches, as they spend so much time with these kiddos. In June, we're going to have a summer training, and then we're going to have various meetings through the year with leadership to come in and to review the progress we're making with our students. And I'm just really excited about that. But I think that would be one I would tell you that's really
cool.
Recently impacted me.
I'm looking at it right now. 3D Coach, Capturing the Heart Behind the Jersey by Jeff Duke.
And like I say, it's about sports, but I'll tell you, it's somewhat, and if you read the book, you'll understand it's not just sports. This is leadership. I mean, this is about being a good leader. Of course, obviously you want your coaches to be good leaders, but this is good for the ag teacher. This is good for the classroom teacher. We've had 3D trainings. I had a 3D training for our entire staff a couple of years ago. So I really bought into that.
Absolutely.
I also like Worksheets Don't Grow Dendrites either, but I don't know if you've heard of that one or not, but that's some pretty good stuff for academics. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
What's that called?
And I can't remember the author. I'm sorry. Worksheets Don't Grow Dendrites.
Got it.
She's from Atlanta, and she is a tremendous speaker and tremendous author. And I cannot remember her name, but that's sorry.
Yep. Marcia Tate.
Yes, Marcia Tate. And she's a wonderful, wonderful lady.
That's awesome. All right, there, guys. Hey, if you like, we got a lot of listeners who like book ideas, and I've done 100+ episodes. I don't think I've heard of either of those. So I love hearing about new ideas for books. So, hey, what's the big gas station convenience store down in your neck of the woods?
Well, the big one there are two of them. Love's Travel Stops. I don't know if you've seen those up. I don't think they have those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're headquartered here in Oklahoma City. And in fact, one of the part owners of the Oklahoma City Thunder is Tom Love, the original owner of that. He's from a little town called Watonga. He started his first store in Watonga, just a small rural town up here, not too far from us. And then OnCue is another one that's pretty popular. ONCUE, and it's really taken off by storm. They're everywhere. I mean, just everywhere.
So I always like just knowing different parts of the United States, either Love's or OnCue. Is there something in those places? They've got like a great pizza. They've got a great, some sort of snack. I mean, what are those places known for? Anything? Either
one of them compete pretty well. You get 2 hot dogs or smoked sausages or something like that for $3.99. Sometimes I'll throw away the bun and just have the sausages, but yeah, that's pretty cool. The drinks are relatively inexpensive, although everything's starting to skyrocket. The gas, man, anyway, I don't want to go there. I get frustrated about gas prices, but there's some pretty cool things in there. I know Love's, they've got a lot of cool looking clothes too, to be honest with you, that just, of course,
Love's has got a little bit of everything in there. Some of those places are massive.
Oh, they are. You ever been to a Buc-ee's, Jared?
Buc-ee's? I don't think I have.
Okay, there's one in between right on the border in Mobile, Alabama, Spanish Fort, Alabama, but most of them are in Texas. It is the darndest thing you've ever seen. It is a convenience store on steroids that is massive. I mean, they're just absolutely massive. Buccees, Buc-ee's. Anytime we go to Texas, Dallas area, we're going to stop at one. My daughters and wife. I mean, it's you can buy about anything in there. Anything. It's impressive.
I always just, oh wow, yeah. I'm looking at some pictures right now. These are everything's incredible. Bigger in Texas, right? This is nuts.
Yeah, they're incredible. I mean,
wow. Huh. All right, man. Hey, let's see here. Oh, okay. I started asking this song not so long ago. If you go to one concert, any concert, you pick a living person, living band, what would it be?
Me, a living person. George Strait. I'm kind of an old soul when it comes to music.
George Strait. Have you been out to Nashville at all?
Yeah, I've been to Nashville once. We went on vacation there.
Did you go to the Country Hall of Fame?
Went to the Grand Ole Opry for a concert with an Oklahoman named Carrie Underwood.
Oh yeah, hey, good selection, man. Good so she's
just so happened she was there that week, so that's when we chose. My personal music. My daughters do not like my personal. One thing, I'll be honest, I'm into worship music and praise music and Christian music. That's very important to me. And but also I like old country. I'm Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and those type of guys. But that, like I say, I'm 52, almost 52 years old, so that kind of explains that.
So, hey, what was it? Oh gosh. What's one big goal that you're currently working on? So you've talked about school or professional. You've talked about some of the fitness. Is there any other one big goal you're working on?
I think I heard this when I was in college. Okay. And I actually heard it I went to a Christian college for a year, and we had a speaker in a devotion that said this. It has stuck with me. And he said that there was a man named David Glass. Okay, and I've not read. David Glass has wrote a book. I've not read that book, but David Glass was the CEO of Walmart for Sam Walton, and he was working for either Sears or Kmart or something of that sort. I can't remember. When Sam Walton invited him to Bentonville, Arkansas, and Sam Walton had one store, and he had these ideas though that that he wanted to grow, and it's called Walk 5 and Dime or something like that. And so David Glass goes in there, and he said they had mules for kids to ride. It was hot, and they had these mules for free rides for kids. And you know what mules do? They were stinking. They had watermelons. The watermelons were hot. He said, I walked into the store, and stuff was stacked up to the ceiling. He said, I thought, this guy's crazy. He said, but that guy had a passion to be the best. Well, we know what happened to Walmart. We know that story real well. And David Glass decided because of that, I think, man, intrinsically, I'm driven. And I mean, you might put pressure on me. My school board might put pressure on me. It pales in comparison to the pressure I put on myself, if you will, to be the very best I can be and to be the very best school we can be. So I think, I hope that answers the question. Yeah. I have an inner drive there, an inner passion that really pushes me.
I always ask a question about productivity. So it seems like you're pretty active. You're doing a lot of different things. You're driven to push your school district forward. You're motivated. You're out and about seeing kids in the mornings. You're getting those lifts in 3 days a week. Any tips for being just super productive? Because it seems like you do a lot. What's one tip you've got for productivity?
Well, I think keep your mental focus on what you're doing. And that's hard for me sometimes. I mean, because you got so many, in the role of a superintendent, man, you've got so many things you got to do sometimes. But trying to keep that mental focus is very important to do those things.
Cool. Hey, man, I promised you 45 minutes where I'm 2 minutes over. So, hey, I got to get you out of here. Anything else that we did not share that you wanted to make sure you shared with the audience?
I think you did a great job, Jared. And I've enjoyed this visit immensely. It's nice to connect with you and your audience.
Well, hey guys, this, like I said, Kevin Sims, superintendent at Minco Public Schools, just southwest of Oklahoma City. And it sounds, I mean, just describing the city, you've got the best of both worlds. It sounds like kind of that classic, like you got the big city just 20 minutes away, but you've got that small town feel, which sounds really, and that family atmosphere just sounds really, really cool. You got some good things going there, man. So thanks so much for joining us today. Have a good, now how warm is it down there these days? Is it in the 70s and 80s?
Okay.
Or
yesterday is about 80 degrees. We had, I don't know if y'all saw on the news, but there was a tornado just south of here, about an hour and a half south of here, that just tore up a town called Kingston on beautiful Lake Texoma. And today it's like 40. I mean, that's the problem with the spring. Sometimes you just have, it goes, I mean, it's just, it's freezing today. It's cold.
So that's not just we always, a Midwest thing. You guys are pretty far south there, I would say, but we are, those 40, 50 degree changes day by day
it happens a lot, and I'm ready for it to warm up and stay warm for a while.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, hey, great job. Thanks so much for your time today. It sounds like you're doing great things there. Keep in touch, and if people want to reach out to you, if they just go to the website, your Facebook, I think that's where a lot of this action's going
obviously
on.
If they go to the website, just Google Minco Public Schools, and you can find my email on there, ksims@minco.k12.ok.us.
Awesome.
Send me an email.
Awesome, man. Hey, I will let you go. Have a great night and keep in touch. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.